Hey everyone, happy Monday to you. Angie here, and we're going to do a little bit of yoga together for the next 45 minutes or so. I hope your week is starting off well and you're already making good choices for yourself and honoring your self-care by coming to the yoga mat and coming to this practice tonight, starting the week off on the right step. So we are going to use a couple of different props. We're going to use a couple of blocks, and they don't have to be these thick blocks. They can be the more conventional size blocks. Just make sure they're the same size if you can help that. And then we will also be using a blanket for a little bit of a heart opening pose at the end, toward the end, a restorative pose. We will be on the knees a little bit, and so as always, if you need to, have that little extra cushioning under your knees with the blanket, then you can use it for that as well. That's all the props that we'll be utilizing for our session tonight. Let's begin. Namaste. And so I'm actually going to take and use my blanket right from the get-go and just put it right there. I'm sitting on the very edge of it now to give a little bit of elevation for my hips, and what that does is it gives me some room for my lower back to sort of relax and stretch out a little bit. And then we just find our sitting pose, starting from that foundation, reaching down through the sits bones, and then as you continue to root downward, at the same time inviting this sort of opposite energy to begin reaching up through the midline of the body, through the crown of the head. Finding this alignment, this posture, while at the same time inviting a sense of ease, so we're not holding this posture in a rigid way, but allowing the shoulders to relax, allowing the jaw to soften, the muscles in the face, the hips, the lower back, anywhere that you're experiencing tension, tightness, gripping. We invite those areas to release, and they may not follow suit immediately, but we extend that invitation, and the hope is that throughout this session, little by little, those areas are able to find some ease, some softening, some surrender. And as we continue to maintain this posture, start to bring your awareness to your breath, kind of connecting with the rhythm of the breath. Each breath cycle you take. Maybe the eyes are closed, maybe your gaze is just moving down the tip of the nose toward the ground out in front of you. As you connect with your breath, notice what parts of your body move with each breath you take. Is it mostly happening, in your chest, kind of upper torso area? Or is there some movement in the navel with each breath cycle? That's really what we're going after. We want there to be this pulsing of the navel, reaching out as we breathe in, and then drawing back inward, slightly upward as we breathe out. All the while, we invite the chest to stay relatively level with each in-breath, with each out-breath. And by sort of sending the breath downward like that, deepening the breath, that diaphragmatic breathing, we're tapping into that sort of relaxation response in the mind and the body. So maintaining this posture, continuing to breathe in this way, just start to notice where the mind is. Checking in with yourself mentally, right here at the beginning to get a bit more active. And then as always, if you want, you can set an intention for your practice. Maybe it's just to take this time to relax, to be more mindful. Maybe you want to dedicate this practice to a loved one in need. Whatever it is, just taking the time to set that for yourself. And this will be a tool that you can use throughout the session each time the mind wanders, because that's what it wants to do. You can bring your awareness back to this intention, dedication, whatever it is that you're setting for yourself now as a reminder to come back to the present moment, to be aware, to be fully present. So when you're ready, start to blink the eyes open if they were closed. And we're going to go toward the back of the mat. We're going to set ourselves up into Balasana, our child's pose. So if you're on your blanket like me, go ahead and come off of it. And then just take your time coming into that child's pose, Balasana. And so you might have your knees further apart here, or maybe you're in more of a conventional, hip width with the knees positioning, but we just come into that child's pose, resting, inviting ourselves to get grounded as we begin this practice. Feeling each breath cycle as the abdomen kind of presses into the thighs as you breathe in. And that pressure subsides a bit as you breathe out. On the next inhalation, we're going to rock up to the hands and the knees. And just make sure here, and I'm going to turn just a little bit, that your heels of the hands are right underneath your shoulders. And a little bit more. Your knees are directly underneath the hips. Okay? And so especially if you came into that wide-kneed child's pose, you want to bring those knees to where they're back hip width. Curl the toes under, pressing through the hands, activating through your shoulders, activating through your core, allowing the navel to reach in toward the spine. And I like to kind of invite fluidity, movement, whatever that might be, into this first downward facing dog, making sure the head is hanging here. Take one more breath wherever you are. And then as you exhale again, lower your knees, press your hips back into that child's pose. And then this time, either put your elbows onto the mat and then bring the head down, hands behind the head. Or if you have blocks, take your blocks and you would place your elbows onto the blocks instead here, pulling back through the hips. Get this nice stretch to the shoulders, to the armpits. We're going to be here for about 7 more breaths. Reaching the elbows forward as the hips move back. 3 more breaths here. And 1 more breath. And then releasing the hands. Coming back up and off of your blocks. Hands coming back down to the mat underneath your shoulders. We're going to bring that left knee a little closer in toward your midline. Extend the right leg back behind you, inhale. And as you exhale, hug that right knee in toward your head, head toward your knee. Control, with control. Inhale, extend it out. Exhale, dragging it in. Inhale, reaching out. 3 more, exhale. Drawing that knee inward. Inhale, extending out. 2 more. In. Inhale, reaching out. Last one. Exhale, drawing in. Inhale, reaching out. Bend this right knee and start stacking that right hip on top of the left, sending the foot over toward your left side. Coming up onto the fingertips of this right hand and looking toward the right side of the mat. Now you can stay here or maybe find the balance to reach that right arm up. See what's available to you. Take one more breath wherever you are. And as the breath flows out, bringing that right hand back down, right knee coming back down as well. We're going to do a little baby vinyasa before we come to the other side. So coming into downward facing dog. And then from there, inhale, plank. Exhale, lower the knees. Hug your elbows in as you lower all the way down with control. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, and lower. Inhale, hands and knees, activating the core. Exhale, downward facing dog. Big breath in. As the breath flows out, just lowering the knees with control. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So sliding this right knee a little closer in toward your midline. Extend that left leg back behind you. Inhale. As you exhale, hug that left knee in toward your head toward your knee. Inhale, extending back. Exhale, drawing in. Inhale, extending back. 3 more. Inhale, reaching out. Exhale, drawing in. Inhale, reaching out. Last one. Exhale, drawing that knee in. Inhale, reaching out. Bend the left knee. And then we're just going to start stacking that left hip on top of the right. Sending that foot over toward the right side. Looking toward your left side of the mat. And then if you have the balance here, you could reach that left arm up. Keep that left foot activated so the left leg stays activated. Take one more breath. And then if the arm was lifted, lower it. Go ahead and lower that knee down and press back into child's pose again. Breathing deeply. We're getting ready here in just a minute to start coming up to standing. And so inhaling, hands and knees, the toes curl under. Exhale, downward facing dog. Start walking the feet up toward the top of your mat. And here we are in our forward fold. I'm going to adjust camera so we can come to our standing practice. And I'm going to open the door because it is pretty toasty in here. All right, so just scoot this back. Just a few more breaths where you are. And then make sure the knees are nice and bent because we're going to let the upper body hang as we just roll our way up to standing. So slowly rolling up to standing mountain pose. Feet are hip width apart. Hands at the heart. We're going to come into our half salutes. So inhale, reaching out and up, looking up as the palms touch, and then exhale into your forward fold, hinging from the hips. Inhale up partway, flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale, hands going to rest at the chest. Full salute now. Inhale, top of the mat, reaching out and up, looking up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flatten your back. Exhale and fold. Hands to the mat, stepping or you could hop back into plank, shifting forward on the toes, lowering the knees, or full chaturanga, whatever is available to you. Inhale, cobra, bhujangasana. Exhale, Downward facing dog. So I'm doing that sort of beginner vinyasa to show you that that's an option if you need it. 2 more breaths here. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Pulling that navel in, really pressing back firmly through the hands, finding that external rotation through the upper arms to broaden the shoulders. Walking, stepping, or hopping the feet to the top of the mat. Coming up partway, flat back, inhale, exhale, and fold. Inhale, slight bend to the knees, reaching the arms out wide. Coming up, exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. And keep that going. So this time, hands at the chest, we're going to do some lunging. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Hands to the mat. So we're going to step this left foot back first. High lunge, left knee to the mat. Inhale, reach your arms up into an upward salute. But then as you exhale, bring that left hand down to the mat, under the left shoulder, twisting toward this right side. And then if it felt okay, we could reach that right arm up. We might even be able to lift that back knee up. Big breath in. As the breath goes out, lowering that back knee. If it was lifted, maybe see if you can lift the foot now and perhaps even grab hold of the foot here. Sneaking in that quadricep. Lengthening, stretch. 1 more breath. And then slowly lowering the foot back down. If you had hold of it, hands to the mat, stepping back into plank. Shifting forward, either lower the knees or full chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lunging other side. Inhale, left foot stepping forward. Exhale, right knee to the mat. Inhale, sweeping up, looking up. Now if it's too intense or too much of a back bend to look up, then bring your torso upright and just look straight ahead. Exhale, right hand to the mat as we twist towards this left side. Remember, if it's too much to keep this left arm lifted, we would just have the hand resting on the thigh instead. You might lift that back knee if that's available. 1 more breath wherever you are. And then if the knee is lifted, lower it back down. See if maybe that foot can lift up. And you may or may not be able to grab hold of the foot today. Just see what's available to you. I'm not going to really be here long enough for us to break out the strap, but that would be an option in your home practice. Learning to grab that foot. Release, hands to the mat, lifting that back knee, and then stepping forward, coming up partway, flatten the back here, inhale, exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale, hands coming to rest at the chest. High lunges now. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flat back. Exhale, fold. So same thing as before. Left foot's going to step back first. This time, crescent lunge. Now you can always spin that back heel down and practice warrior 1 here instead. But if you're able to come into that crescent lunge, it really challenges your sense of balance. We're trying to evenly distribute the weight as best we can between this front foot and the back foot. Remember, we have that back leg that we can put our weight on. Big breath in. Now we're going to come into our twist here. And so you have that option that we did before in our low lunge, left hand to the ground or to a block. Twisting that way. That's going to be your more beginner variation. Now, your more advanced variation, your intermediate variation, I guess I should say, left elbow will come toward the outer edge of that right thigh. And as you can see, it requires more balance. Our prayer twist. So see what's available to you. See if you can relax the shoulders and really extend through the spine, whichever variation you've chosen. 1 more breath. And then hands to the mat, stepping back into plank. We're going to vinyasa forward on the toes. Lower either the knees or full chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Same thing, other side. So now our right foot steps forward. We find our balance. Oh, actually, our left foot steps forward. That's right, left foot forward now. We find our balance, and again, if it's too intense to balance here on the ball of that back foot, you would spin the back heel down and just do your warrior one as a variation. Otherwise, reaching the arms up and hanging out here again, finding that balance between the front foot, that left foot, and the back foot, dropping the tailbone down. Big breath in as the breath flows out. Either take that right hand to the mat and twisting lunge in that first variation, or this right elbow will come to the outer edge of the left knee, left thigh, and we'll come into that prayer twist. Wherever you are, take 2 more breaths. And then hands to the mat. Slowly shifting forward as you step in. Coming up part way, flatten the back here, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. And just pausing here. Come into just a little bit of balance practice. And I like to come off of my mat when I am working on my balance, because the mat's so much of a cushion, it's kind of spongy and it can mess with your balance, but you do what works best for you. We're going to come into our hand to big toe, or Padangusthasana. We're going to start it with our beginner variation, and that's just going to be, the bent knee version. And we're going to move into your B out to the side, and that C variation with the twist. So if you need to, now's the time to maybe set it beside the wall, or have a chair handy, something you can hold on to, unless you can do this freestanding. So shift the weight out of your right leg, and then when you're ready, hug that knee. And as we're hanging out here, maybe we can circle the foot around in one direction and then in the other. And then from there, reach around the front of that right knee with the right hand. Left hand is on that left side of the waist. And we just draw that right knee out to the side. That's just hanging, trying to keep the hips as level as we can, like we do in Vrksasana when you practice tree pose. Coming back to center. Now, then we grab hold of the knee with the left hand, and we're going to start twisting towards this right side. So the first thing we do is we try to turn the head and find a still object that's not moving to focus our gaze on. And then if it feels okay, we can reach that right arm back behind us. That the right palm would be open toward the right side of you. Take one more breath wherever you are. And then slowly start making your way back to center. Lower that leg. And we'll just do the same thing on the other side. So shifting the weight out of the left side into your right leg. And then just like we did before, hugging that left knee, circle the foot. Opposite direction. Reach around the front of that knee. The left hand, right hand is on the right side of the waist. And take that knee out to the left side of your body. Try to keep the hips as level as you can. We want to sort of sink into the belly, so instead, lift up through your sternum. Get as tall as you can. Coming back to center with the knee. Grab hold of the knee with the right hand. And then start twisting towards your left side. Turning your head, finding something, some still object in front of you, and focusing on that. And then if it's available, reaching that left arm back behind you as well. Palm will be open toward that left side of your body. Take one more breath. And then slowly coming back to center and release. Good job. Coming back to the top of the mat. Hands at the heart. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale and folding. Inhale up partway, flat back. Exhale and fold. Grab your block. Put it in front of your right foot. Put the right hand on top of the block and bend the right knee. And as you exhale, twist towards your left side. Take a big breath in. Exhale, release your twist. Take the block, put it in front of the left foot. Left hand on the block, left knee bends. Exhale, twist toward your right side. Take a big breath in. Exhale, release your twist. And then inhale, sweep the arms out wide. Coming up. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. Full salute, inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Hands to the mat, stepping or hopping back in plank. Shifting forward, either lower knees or full chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 more breaths here. And 1 more breath. Start to lower your knees. And we're going to come into a sitting position. So crossing the legs, Sukhasana. I'm going to bring the camera a little bit closer again so that we're all on the same page. Let's have the right leg crossed in front of the left. So right leg crossed in front of the left. Sitting up nice and tall. We're going to grab a block. And we're going to press our hands, turn to the side, into the block, sitting up nice and tall. So here, like if you're noticing that you're rounding just by sitting here, which a lot of us do, by the way. So if you notice it, just take that blanket. And this is what I mean by sitting on the edge of it. See how most everything else is off of it? But it does give my hips that height. So you can always do that when we're sitting. I'm going to turn the side to show you. So we're pressing the hands firmly into this block. And then as we inhale, we're going to keep pressing the hands firmly into the block as we reach the block above the head. Pressing, pressing, pressing. And then exhale. And coming back out in front of us. Still pressing hands firmly into the block. Inhale. Reaching up. Exhale. Out in front. 2 more. Inhale. Reaching up, still pressing. Exhale. 1 last time. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Let go of that block. Sitting up nice and tall. Inhale. As you exhale, start to fold over the legs. If you need to keep that blanket underneath you, to keep yourself from rounding, then you can. What I mean by rounding is if you're folding and you're doing that. Okay, see the difference? And that and that. It's a big difference. I'm still trying to keep those sits bones relatively grounded. 2 more breaths wherever you are. And then just use your hands to bring yourself back upright. All right, so right leg is in front. We're going to bring our legs out in front of us. The feet are on the ground, soles of the feet on the ground, and the knees are bent. Okay? And so the right leg was in front before. Now we're going to take and bring that right leg back behind. So I'm taking my right heel toward my left, glute. And then I'm sliding this left heel back. Now, as soon as I do that, I sort of round a little bit, okay? And I'll turn to the side to show you what I mean again. So as soon as I start sliding that foot, and I'm exaggerating, but I round. All right, so instead, I want you here to use your hands to hold on to the front of that left knee, and then sit up and kind of sandwich, this left side of your torso, left side of the chest and abdomen, kind of up near that left thigh. All right, so I'm really bringing the two toward one another, the thigh toward the torso, torso toward the thigh. And then when that feels okay, we feel sturdy. We grab hold of the inner and outer edge of the foot. We could use a strap here, or we could just kind of hold on to, the leg wherever we can reach it. And we might keep the knee bent with this left shin parallel to the ground the whole time. Over time, we may be able to extend this left leg for our heron pose. And again, we're trying to keep this from happening. Keep lifting that chest up toward the leg like we were doing before we lifted the foot off of the ground. Now, if this feels okay and you want to come into a twist here, right hand is going to grab toward the outer part of the leg or the foot. We're going to roll that left shoulder open, sit up nice and tall, and either keep the left hand on the ground, or like we were doing in our bent knee, Padagustasana, hand to big toe or hand to knee, we twist to the side and have the hand open toward this side. We're twisting to this left side. One more breath. And slowly back to heron pose. See if you can go any deeper here. Still sitting up nice and tall. And then release that leg back down. Now, we're going to cross the left leg in front of the right this time. Okay, we're going to do another sort of upper body pulse. I'll turn to the side again as we sit here and kind of invite this opening through the hips. So this time we're going to clasp the hands and push the palms of the hands away from you. Okay, inhale, reach the arms up, and have the shoulder blades reaching down the back body and then sort of inward toward one another, and then out in front of you as you exhale. And at the very end of that exhalation, you're going to cat tilt the hips forward, round a little bit, tucking your chin. Okay, inhale, coming back up, right? Exhale, arms straight out in front of you as you exhale into the exhalation, rounding, cat tilting the hips, tucking the chin. 3 more, inhale, reaching up. Exhale. 2 more, inhale, reaching up. Exhale. One last time, up. Exhale. Inhale, back upright, and then exhale, lower the hands down. Take a big breath in. As the breath flows out, you come into forward fold, the legs in this opposite crossing. And we often notice a difference when we, take a fold with one crossing as opposed to the other. So just noticing those differences for yourself, getting to know your body better and better. And then that'll also tell you important information as far as in your home practice, when you're just kind of working on your own. Then the less flexible side, the less balanced side, the weaker side. That's the side we're going to spend more time on, that we're going to spend more of our focus on. So slowly coming back upright. Taking your legs out in front of you. That left leg was in front, but this time it's going to be behind the right leg. Bringing it toward the glutes on the right side. And then just like before, rather than rounding, we're going to really hug that thigh into the chest, chest into the thigh. And then when we feel sturdy enough, grabbing hold of the foot, We start with that right shin parallel to the ground, and it might stay there, or we might be able to extend that leg, rolling the shoulders open, staying upright, breathing deeply, and just trying to keep that lift through the chest. It's going to keep you from rounding. Now, staying here, or see if you can grab the outer edge of the right foot or the right leg with the left hand and twist toward your right side, either keeping the fingers of the right hand on the ground or perhaps reaching that arm out with the right hand open toward your right side. You can look back on the fingertips of that lifted hand. Take one more breath. And as the breath flows out, coming back into your hand, maybe see if you can go any deeper. One more breath. And release. Now, since we're here and we've kind of prepped ourselves for it, we're going to come into Navasana, our boat pose. So our first variation of boat would be just to lift the toes and kind of hold on. And you're still finding that sweet spot around sort of the sacral area to balance on. Once that feels okay, see about lifting one leg. Lifting the other. Once that feels okay and you're ready for both legs to lift, start out by holding on behind your thighs. Keeping the shins parallel to the ground like we did in our heron pose at the beginning. And then, if you can let go, that's your next step. And of course, from there, extending your legs. So whatever variation, you might still have your heels on the ground, and that's okay. Take two more breaths wherever you are. Keep lifting through the chest. Try not to round through the back. One more breath. And then lower the feet. Take your time reclining onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest and just rock side to side. Winding everything down. And it's so nice. We still have sunlight. And so one of my favorite things to do after yoga is to take like a little walk. When my body feels more open and more relaxed. Now we have daylight to actually do that in. So coming back to center. We're going to place the feet on the ground. And then hug the heels close in toward your hips, okay? But take the feet wide for windshield wiper knees. So we have the arms out by our sides. Inhale, and as we exhale, we're just going to take the knees to this left side. So my right hip is clean off of the ground, and my knees are moving left. And then we inhale back to center, and then the knees move to the right. Now that left hip is off of the ground. Inhale back to center. Keep your shoulders grounded. Exhale, knees to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, knees to the right. We're going to visit each side one more time. Inhale, knees to center. Exhale, left. Inhale, knees to center. And exhale, right. Now, coming back to center with the knees. If you do have blocks, I would highly recommend placing them under the thighs so that your lower back can rest as the legs extend. And this way you don't have to keep the knees, bent and the legs activated with the feet on the ground. Here, we're just allowing the legs to rest. I did put a little bit of blanket under my head for Shavasana. And so the key here is comfort mixed with alignment, mixed with this mindfulness practice, essentially. So the mind is going to wander many, many, many times, and we just keep inviting it back to the present moment. One of the ways we do that is to invite the mind to instead focus on each breath, connecting with each breath. another way that we can sort of help the mind get back on track and be more present is to ask it to scan the body. And in that body scan, just to look for anything, any places that might be tense, that might be gripping, and then inviting those areas to release, like we did at the beginning. Every time we bring the mind back to the breath, or bring the mind back to the body, we're getting grounded in the present moment again and again. The more we practice that, the more time we can linger there in between sort of less focused, more mindless states of mind. So just allow yourself to be open to your senses. That's another way that we ground ourselves. Maybe if you're outside or you're practicing near an open window, perhaps you can hear a bird chirping or maybe other outside sounds. Maybe you hear things going on in a separate room within your house, just being open to your sense of hearing and the other senses where you might notice stimulation. That's another mindfulness practice. And always staying with your breath, making sure that each breath is just happening on its own. Not holding the breath, not controlling the breath, just doing what you can to sort of get out of its way and let it happen. So if you need to extend your Shavasana for longer, then just stay right where you are for as long as you need. But otherwise, you can start bringing movement back into the body. And then transitioning from there when you're ready onto your side and just hanging out on your side for a few breaths. This can keep you from being dizzy when you come up. Also, it can help protect your back. Coming back upright. Maybe sitting on the edge of your blanket again if you wanted. And then for a moment, just finding your alignment, finding that sitting pose, just like you did at the very beginning. So we're coming full circle. And checking in with yourself one last time, just noticing how you're feeling at the physical level, mentally, noticing your rhythm of breath once more. Thank you so much for practicing with me tonight. We'll be right back here next Monday at 6:30 on this Neva Lillison Library page. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Namaste. Bye. See everybody next Monday. Thank you so much. Bye.